In watching the skills competition, I thought, all right, if there's enough here for me to do a review of, I'll do a review. And there's enough here for me to do a review of. There's a lot here to unpack. I want to start off by saying, well, first off, this is kind of going to be in order and kind of not at the same time. I took some notes during this. I always love seeing all of the players wearing their own team's jerseys. I've always, ever since I was a kid, the first time I saw all of those jerseys on the ice together at an All-Star weekend, and I don't remember what it was because it wasn't a skills competition, but seeing all of those jerseys on the ice together, I was like, this is great. That just looks, just aesthetically, it looks great. And then they wore their All-Star jerseys for the All-Star game. I remember being like, oh, that's too bad. I kind of wish they were wearing their own team jerseys. Yeah, you could have whites and darks, and it could work. But the NHL's got to sell some All-Star jerseys. That's what it's all about. So I also want to say, it's not on the board, but the jerseys that they produced this year, the shiny fabric of the silver stripes is very similar to like the gold on the Sabres jerseys. So I should have my All-Star jersey next week. Ben H, of course, got them. I did sort of a pre-order with him. And, of course, Yvonne's getting Jets. And I'm getting a white one and a gray one. I'm going to get a gray one in Canucks and a white one in Maple Leafs because I thought Maple Leafs in that blue looks nice. So we'll go through it when I get it, and we'll see how they are, and I'll let you guys know my honest opinion of them compared to last year's All-Star jerseys, of which I have 3. I have Vegas in a black. I have Ottawa in a black because it was cheap. And I got Calgary in a white. I got that one through Ben H last year. So the Vegas one I got because there's only the gray Vegas and the white Vegas. They don't have a third jersey unveiled yet, so I thought it would be nice to have something I could wear that was different. So, yeah, all those jerseys together, it was nice. What I thought was funny was Candace Cameron, or Caroline Cameron. Candace Cameron, of course, is from, TV. From Full House. So, yeah, they had Candace Cameron from Full House out there. Candace Cameron Bure, I might add. So, Valari was there. Carolyn Cameron. I've made that mistake before, too. Shea Weber. She asked him, what are you doing to win the hardest shot? And he said, nothing. Turns out that works out pretty well for him. Well, that was funny. He's like, nothing. We're getting cold. Like, they're sitting on the bench, right? So, they had the fastest skater first. Jack Eichel, 13.54. Pretty good speed there. The first one that went was Chris Kreider, and he had a speed of 13.509. He ends up finishing third. Second place was Connor McDavid at 13.215, and Matthew Barzal, 13.175 is your winner. So Barzal, faster than Connor McDavid for today. And that shows you just how solid a skater Matthew Barzal is. Interestingly enough, when Hughes put up a 14.263, Konechny had a 14.113. McKinnon had sort of a bobble there that led him to a 13.895. Kevin Bieksa, who was gold throughout this broadcast, Kevin Bieksa said he wondered if there were players who remembered Heiskanen wiping out last year and if it was making them a little bit nervous on some of those turns. For the guys that did the best in this, they were accelerating out of the turns, which is why Kreider put up such a solid score right out of the gate, because and they showed the speed. He was accelerating out of the turns, whereas other guys were slowing down, and then they'd have to speed up again. So, then we go to the save streak, which was kind of all over the place. Markstrom gets 5. Now, Markstrom gets 5. There was a 5-hole one that went through him, and I'm pretty sure he said it. F off was what came out of his. I thought it was fantastic. Puck goes through him, and he said it, and I thought, that's a legit reaction. That's why very often you'll see goaltenders, when a puck goes in during a game, you'll see the mask do this. And I've always said, whenever you see the mask do this, I know exactly what they said there, and it's not with asterisks in it either. So that I thought was really entertaining, and I had to throw that up on the board. Riddick ends up saving 4 in a row. Tristan Jarry saved 4 in a row, although 3 of those 4, the first 3 were all whiffs. None of them hit the net. So I was like, seriously, Jarry can't pass Markstrom's 5 with shots that are missing the net. Holtby had 5. Hellebuck had 4. And then we get into the better of the goaltenders in this competition. Anderson had 7. At first, Leaf fans got nervous because he had 5, and then they showed it as 5, but they fixed it. It was 7. Kreider's shot didn't go in. Vasilevsky then went out and put up 9 saves in a row. And then Binnington, proving he's not nervous once again, 10. So we move on to the It was accuracy first. Yeah, I believe it was accuracy first. And because of the camera angle, and because they have this new uh, digital targets thing, sometimes it looked to me like it hit the target, and yet they weren't counting it. And I was like, to me, it looks like that hit. And then there were a couple that you hear the ding and the target would break, and I'd be like, that doesn't even look like it hit the target. So they did show that it was the camera angle that made it look like it didn't hit the target, or it did when it didn't go. Anyways, Jacob Slavin ends up winning that. 9.505 seconds to hit every target, and that was impressive. Bertuzzi, 13.868. Draisaitl, his 10.2257 was fantastic, to the point where I didn't even include that as the second best. Look at that. Yeah, I didn't. I totally didn't. I totally missed that one. So let's go ahead and reseed those, shall we? So number 2 was Draisaitl with 10.257. And then third was Huberdeau with 13.704. So pretty strong there. And Pietrangelo, 13.76. Bertuzzi, as I said, 13.868. Scheifele, 15.1. Hurdle, 17.16. Hischier, 19.55. I don't know if he was nervous or what was going on, but yeah. And it could have been the targets were just confusing to him as well. Huberdeau, the interesting thing with him was it looked like he was going to win it, and then he just couldn't hit it. And these things happen. It's one of those things where you get kind of stressed out. So we have all that take place, and then we're going into the women's game. And something that Cassie Campbell pointed out, and Cassie Campbell-Pascal's been looking into this and keeping her eye on it, because she's very interested in what's going to happen with the women's hockey, right? So the women who are on strike, they're taking part in this, and it's a 3-on-3, and they're boycotting the NWHL. And she said that there's talk in the U.S. about the NHL potentially being sued for taking these women that have been under contract with the National Women's Hockey League and putting them on display and paying them and putting them on the ice for a 3-on-3 competition. She doesn't think they have a leg to stand on. But what it means, too, is that for women who might be thinking, you know what, we've been out for long enough, I want to go back, they shouldn't, and they can't. They're being advised not to go back, because if they did go back to the NWHL, they would be putting themselves into a position where investors in the league could then sue them for holding out for as long as they did. So it's this whole legal wrangling, and Cassie's thinking that the NHL is going to do something between now and September, and she and the women involved in this will be very disappointed if they don't. So then we have the 3-on-3 game, and if you're not a fan of women's hockey, I apologize, but it was a good game. And early on, Rebecca Johnson scores to make it 1-0 Canada. Rebecca Johnson's always been one of my favorite women's hockey players. Nice to see her get a goal. And then we get distracted. There's digital ads on the boards around. Now, when I say ads, what it was is just Adidas repeating, NHL Shop repeating, BF Goodrich, I think was another one, was a repeating. But the boards were this fake white color. You know when your eyes can pick up that something's digital, it's not real? Like when you're watching a fake CGI, like think Attack of the Clones, right? Attack of the Clones, you're watching a battle and you go, this is fake, right? This is animated. My eyes are telling me this isn't actually happening. When you have boards that are telling your brain this, it's distracting you from the game. So I understand that this was a game where the NHL's like, all right, we're going to try a whole bunch of new technologies in here. They jam them all through at once, and it's just aggravating. I thought they looked terrible. And then, as the game went along, the puck had a tail. Somewhere there's an executive that worked at Fox 25 years ago who watched this game and jumped up so fast that their cheese puffs went all over the floor. And they yelled, with the cheese still on their fingers, "You guys got me canned because I decided to put a Fox Tracks puck in, and you did it again." But it wasn't even the glowing tail. It looked sort of like a smudge on the screen. Like if you took a charcoal drawing and you're just having a charcoal smudge behind the... It looked awful. And when you're watching hockey, you don't actually follow the puck a lot. Like you do. You know who's got the puck and you follow where it's being passed to. But you don't just watch the puck. And what happens when they put a tail on the puck... And if you're watching this, I'm going to explain this to you. When you put a tail on the puck, it means that your eye is drawn to the puck and not to the play. And it's distracting, and we don't need it. We don't need it any more than you need a glowing tail on a football or a baseball, and I know baseball does it at times as well. You don't need it People who love the sport and watch the sport don't need it. And casuals can figure it out. Have some faith in the casuals. Do not put a tail on the pucks in National Hockey League games ever. And if you do, make it optional. And make it so that the option is defaulting to not having it rather than having it. Well, if you want to have no tail, we have these brand new NHL glasses that make the tail disappear. That's what I can't wait for the no tail glasses. Those are coming. So, and it really is too bad because that first half of the period, first period was pretty good. First half of the game, right? And then we go into the second half. Daou makes it 2-0 for Canada. Good for her. And then Hillary Knight scored pretty quickly after that to make it 2-1. So this was really good hockey. And then with about 27 seconds left, Cassie Campbell-Pascal called them girls. She said something along the lines of the girls are really excited or the girls have played really well. And I thought, shh. Can't call them girls. Don't do that. And she kept doing it. She kept calling them girls and saying the girls. Anyways, Canada won it 2-1. And I thought the ladies did very well. I did. I thought it was good. Anne Renee Desbiens is the star of the game. She was the most valuable player. She was fantastic. I can see why she was named as a starter. Because when I saw the opening lineup, I thought, I'm surprised Shannon Szabados isn't out there. Because Shannon Szabados has been the face of the goaltenders for Canada for a long time. And then I saw this young lady playing, and I thought, okay, I see why Shannon Szabados isn't out there, and probably isn't all that upset she's not out there. 99 wins this young lady put up at University of Wisconsin, and she had 56 shutouts. So that's a lot of wins and shutouts at university level over a period from 2013 to 2017. So I thought that was really nice. I also want to point out, as we segue out of this game, which was a pretty decent little game, and I know people are going to say, well, it was slower and some of the passing was off. Yeah, they also could have been very nervous considering the stage that they're on and what's on the line here for them. What's with Austin Matthews looking like Ron Burgundy? I'm not the first one to make this comparison, but between the mustache, the hairstyle, the clothing choices, how can you be going through a midlife crisis when you're in your early 20s? It's a question I have about Austin Matthews, and it's disturbing. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Austin Matthews, but it screams early midlife crisis, even though there isn't one. All I need to know is that he's bought like 3 sports cars in the last couple of months. Anyways, that was just interesting, and I thought I'd point that out. Okay, so we get back into the actual skills competition after that 3-on-3 with the women. And we get into the hardest shot. And the hardest shot, it happens so fast. It just happens so fast that Yvonne and I were talking about tomorrow's trip, and next thing you know, it's done. So Giordano ends up with 102.1 miles per hour. Seth Jones, 99.8. I felt kind of bad for Seth. I don't know. It didn't feel like he was ready at the start. Victor Hedman, 102.1. Elias Pettersson, 102.4. John Carlson with 104.5. And your winner, Shea Weber, 106.5. So that's your lesson, kids. If you want to be the best, don't do anything. Shea Weber on January 24th of 2019. If you want to be the best, don't do anything. To which Phil Kessel, somewhere at home, said, I don't do anything. Look, my sister's at that game. I'm sitting at home. I also thought it was interesting, too, that Sarah Nurse was there, playing for the women's game, and Darnell Nurse not there. So, I don't know. Do they call their brothers and say, hey, I made it. I'm here. So, all right. Hardest shot belongs to Shea Weber. We'll all pretend that we're surprised. So I'll just go ahead and put that he was first. Second is Carlson. And third was Pettersson, pretty nice shot. He actually seemed surprised when his was 102.4, to be honest. They're like, oh, all right. And that was his first shot. His second one was about 100 miles an hour. Shooting star competition. This is a first dry run of this. And I thought it went pretty well. Let me go ahead and fix this here. That's just for me turning the board around. I brushed the tee off partly. So the shooting star competition, which is trying to hit targets from up on the basically up past the lower bowl. I thought it was interesting. I did. I thought it was a really interesting competition, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the NHL does with it next year. There's a ton of potential here. A ton. And I thought that was fun how they worked the alumni into this whole thing. St. Louis did very, very well. I debated about which jersey to wear for this, but honestly, St. Louis put on such a good show. How could I not wear St. Louis? This was a really good show, and they had Bernie Federko in there, Al McInnes in there, Brett Hull, Keith Tkachuk. It was very, very well done. So your winner of all of this comes out down here. But what's interesting is Pastrnak got 10 points. Because I'm not sure what Pastrnak was doing there. It looked like he was missing on purpose. Like, his first shot hits the empty net at the other end of the ice, which is 4 points. And then he went left. And Kevin Bieksa said it's like he's trying to hit all the other targets. And it just seemed weird. So, eventually he goes for the 10-pointer, and he missed it. And he ends up with 10 points altogether at the end of this. Matthew Tkachuk, he revealed before starting up that underneath his Flames jersey was a St. Louis Cardinals Molina jersey. So you can start the rumors now. Matthew Tkachuk, when his contract's done with Calgary, he's going to go to baseball. He's going to be a St. Louis Cardinal. He ended up with 20 points. He had a pretty good little run there while his dad was looking on. So his dad was right there. Patrick Kane, 22 points. I have to say Patrick Kane took it in stride. Every amount of booze that he took. I thought the funny thing was when Bieksa talked to him about that, and he's like, you know, you're not very well liked here, and Kane basically, I'm not sure why. I've had some good games here. So I thought it was good that he took it in stride. He seemed to enjoy the crowd booing him, just so that fans in St. Louis know. I think he actually enjoys it. I think he expects it, and it's like, all right, do that. Tyler Seguin, 14 points. He kept missing the target, and I think this is where you could tell that these guys didn't get to come in this afternoon before all the festivities started and practice for hours. This is something that clearly they were thrown a little bit by this. Brady Tkachuk had 6 points. And with Brady Tkachuk, it was a matter of, it just looked like he was trying to rush it a little bit, and it was once that first one gets a 0, you go, oh, crap, I can't just get zeros. And he ended up with 6 points. David Perron went first in this competition, which I didn't think helped Perron. I think going first in a brand new competition is bad. I think that definitely hurt him. He ended up with 14 points altogether. I'm pretty sure he got a 10-pointer towards the end there, so that was nice. But I think he would have scored better if he had gone later and seen everybody else's shots first. Ryan O'Reilly ended up with 12 shots, but Ryan O'Reilly's not a goal scorer. Not really. He's a passer. I was actually kind of surprised he ended up in this one. I think he would have done better, I don't know, fastest skater, maybe. Maybe put Quinn Hughes in this. Anyways, he did his best. He ends up with 12 points, and then he calls up Brett Hull, because he's like, all right, I want to try this again. So Brett Hull comes up and gets 2 points. And during this period, I thought that Mitch Marner and Patrick Kane showed how good of sports they were, because they were waiting for, to face off with one another. And Marner wanted O'Reilly to have another chance. Marner was straight there, and so Kane agreed. Like, that last shot was technically taken by Brett Hull. Let him have another shot. So he got another shot. That one didn't go. So he still had 14 points. Mitch Marner would have 22 to tie Patrick Kane. Hillary Knight went out there, and she got 14 points. And I thought this was really key, that the women who were nominated for this did well. Because I thought, if the women in this competition come up with 2 points each, 4 points, there are going to be a lot of people who go, see, women, just they're not in the same league as men when it comes to shooting a puck. This just isn't, So the fact that Hillary Knight gets 14, Marie-Philippe Poulin put up 15, that's huge. So they did well. They did beat or tie Seguin, Perron, Brady Tkachuk, and Pastrnak. So they did pretty well. And then the funny thing was that towards the end, as Ryan O'Reilly, as he's talking to him, when Ryan O'Reilly gets 10, 12 points, he goes, remember now, Mitch Marner's in the lead. Well, Patrick Kane's tied with Marner, so all I could think was Patrick Kane stepping forward and going, am I a joke to you? Like the internet meme. That was the first thing I thought was Patrick Kane going, am I a joke to you? Marner's not in the lead. We're in the lead. We're in the lead. The two of us are in the lead. I'm still here, even though I'm Chicago Blackhawk and they hate me here. I'm still here. So then we had Kane versus Marner, and it was a one-shot competition, which I thought Again, they may want to tweak this next year. I'm not sure how you change this, but it was very anticlimactic. Marner went for the 10 spot, and he missed just over top. This is one of the things they may want to look at changing. So they had the net, and if the puck goes behind the net, well, it's not in the net. So they don't count as points, but holy crap, hitting that from where they were, that's impressive. So I think they need to take the net and move it back so that if it hits that surface, if it hits that 10 spot, it counts. That's 10 points. I think that's something that they could change for next year because there were a lot of shots these guys had that went over the net, but they still hit the target. And I thought, if they hit the target, that should be 10 points. From where they're shooting it from, that's impressive. They even showed, and Kevin Bieksa talked about how you can't just shoot it. You have to put a spin on it based on whether you shoot right or you shoot left. You have to put a spin on it, kind of like curling. And you could see it in the air curling towards the net or curling away. So those guys that just barely went over the net, like Marner, as far as I'm concerned, next year those ones should be good. Kane ends up getting 2 points and he wins. And that's why I think this is anticlimactic, because Kane missed the 10-pointer too, but it bounces and it hits 2 points, and there you go. You win with 2 points. And then they brought Ryan O'Reilly back out because they're like, we can't let a Blackhawk win. And Ryan O'Reilly missed it. So he did shoot it, though, to, I believe it was Bennington that stopped it at the other end of the ice. That was funny, too. Bieksa pointed out there was a cameraman at the other end of the ice, and he caught tons of pucks. So he said that guy's probably all bruised up from all the pucks he's getting shot at him at the other end of the ice. So, yeah, it was a very interesting show. I think this kind of proves that there is merit in the All-Star festivities. That for all of the players that have said no, they don't want to go, there are players that enjoy this. And this is why I think they need to tighten things up. Go ahead. If players don't want to show up, let them not show up. That's fine. You have no problem finding National Hockey League players who are still very talented and very capable of putting on a good show and entertaining the fans. So for the players who went and performed in this, good show. This was an excellent show. And from the city of St. Louis, just fantastic. This was top notch. Really looking forward to seeing how next year's work out. Next year's, of course, will be in Florida. Gary Bettman confirmed that today. So the Florida Panthers will host the next All-Star competition, which means Florida's going to win the Stanley Cup. So there you go. So we'll see how that turns out in Florida. But for today, this was really good. And I think there are some things. Again, I think this shooting star, fantastic. We should be able to see them. We should see a change in this next year, I would think, to make it so that it's not easier, but there were shots that didn't count that, man, from where they were, those should have counted. Those were beautiful shots. And then the scores would be higher and the crowd would be more excited. And come on, that's what we really want. And I think they did well. I think some of the competitions that have been dropped, good. I think this was very straightforward. Very easy to follow for both hardcore fans and casual fans, and there were enough stats there to make everybody happy. So there you go. Let me know what you guys thought in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. This is very, very likely the last video that will be done from Canada until this coming Friday, when I'll be home. And I'll be able to watch games on Friday. And on Friday, there's 7 hockey games, which is more than any day that we have in Anaheim. Although I think there's 7 on the Monday. But I have some plans on how to do the preview for that. I'm going to have fun with that. So bringing some stuff with me. I'm going to have fun with that. I look forward to talking to you guys about that and having some fun with it. So, hey, thank you guys so much for all your support. For people in California that are, coming out to meetups and whatnot, should be fun. And for people in Vegas that are waiting on us, we're about 6 weeks out from Vegas. So that, honestly, this is going to be a really good year. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you guys so much again. I will talk to you very soon.